One matching into today's video, we're going to have a look at some longer range charts today from the Japanese model. We're going to go from next month, August, through to October with this update, just as a way of a bit of a sneak peek, really, of the autumn update that will be starting at the weekend, which we'll be doing at the weekend on Sunday. You get a lot of information with the JMA, the Japanese Meteorological Agency long-range model, and in the autumn update I won't have time to have a look at everything that you can see from the JMA, so I thought I'd isolate the JMA and have a look at some of the charts that we can see from this model. It's always a very useful and interesting model. Right at the very end of the video, may have a quick sneak peek at the Beijing Climate Centre for the winter. The charts begin to update now from the BCC. So if we have time at the end of the video, I may just throw in one or two charts from the latest update of the Beijing Climate Centre for winter of 2015-2016. But before we go on with all of this, just say about the ASIS linked articles on the pages at gaslevels.com, have browse with widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You have to go for a read the article. Thanks very much for doing that. So let's start off with the 500 millibar height anomalies from the JMA for August. First of all, we're starting off with August. And as you know, yellow extrapolates to high pressure and blue will be extrapolating to low pressure. This is the Northern Hemisphere view first of all. We'll have a look at sort of the mid-latitude view in a moment. So this is what we're looking at for August. On the face of it, a very settled month indeed, coming up with a lot of high pressure there, a lot of yellow through the country and going off into many central parts of Europe as well. We've got this trough up over Scandinavia, which would be a niggling feature, really. It's been an unsettled summer for them, and at times that will probably bring cooler air from the northwest. So I wouldn't necessarily be expecting a heat wave or a really hot month on this setup. Nevertheless, loads of high pressure ridging through there, and I think we could really expect a very settled and pleasant August. Indeed, it's been a long time since we've had a settled and warm August, but that could be it if the model is right. As we go through to September, this is what we're looking at for September, and anticyclonic influences stay in control through much of the period. I think we've got high pressure out to the east of the country, got this trough of low pressure in the west. I think with time the jet stream may be coming in, going a little bit like that perhaps. So this could be a transitional month actually for September. We may find the ridge gradually be pushing further and further back by this trough of low pressure. So it may be a lot of settled weather, but perhaps turning more towards autumnal shades as we go later on into the month. But as I say, lots of anticyclonic influences there being indicated for September. And then for October, we get quite a significant change going on. The above average heights going up towards central and northern parts of Scandinavia, so hints perhaps of a little bit of northern blocking even up there. And this trough of low pressure becomes much deeper in the Atlantic and starts to move in. So I think this is a definitive sort of breakdown in October to a much more unsettled pattern, and particularly, potentially, for the south actually. It could be the south that is wetter than the north on this particular setup, with northern and northeast parts of the country getting more dry weather. Winds could be in from the east as well, interestingly, with that setup. Wouldn't necessarily be all that cold really in October, but certainly a bit different anyway to the normal October pattern, which tends to be very westerly with lots of gales and bouts of rain coming in off the Atlantic. It's a bit of a different take on what you'd expect for a typical October. So this is the mid-latitude view. That's the Northern Hemisphere view from a JMA. This is the mid-latitude view, and we can see how the temperature and precipitation anomalies are stacking up with this. So we start off with the height anomaly, first of all, for August. Remember, the high pressure is really in across the country, the above average height, so a very settled month. Would be anticipated. How the temperature's looking. Still nothing really to write home about, and I think that's a bit mean actually. I would expect the temperatures to be a bit warmer than that really on the setup, with all those anticyclonic influences coming through, even though the Atlantic is fairly chilly. I do think we get warmer temperatures than that is suggesting. But the model anyway, not seeing anything particularly warm for August, but I will correct that up a bit to be honest. So have a look at the wind arrows, and that perhaps explains why we're not expecting a particularly a particularly hot month, although not really, because the wind arrows, you probably can't make this out all that well, but the wind arrows are generally being signalled to be from an easterly type direction, and that's a pretty warm direction in August. That would be bringing warm air in off sort of Germany, that sort of area in the Low Country. So can't really explain why the temperature anomaly is so low actually for August from the model, but I would expect a warmer than average month would develop if that height anomaly came off. And as you'd expect with high pressure around the country, we're looking at a lot of dry weather, so the month comes out drier than average. So it's going for a drier and cooler or near normal temperature anomaly and rainfall anomaly for August. I would suspect that would actually be coming out drier and warmer than average for most parts. For September, the high pressure, the above average height, still very close to us, but more centred to the east. And this trough in the Atlantic is deepening, so perhaps transitional, starting off a lot of settled weather and then maybe breaking down a little bit more as we go through into the second half of the month, something like that. The temperature anomaly, again, nothing to write home about. A little bit warmer than average in the south, a bit cooler than average in the north. I'm not sure what the temperatures would be doing in that sort of month, but I expect probably quite a warmish month, because the heights are generally centred to the east, so you would expect winds to be generally coming from a southerly, southeasterly type direction until the Atlantic starts to break through. Anyway, the wind arrows show that the general wind direction is sort of southerly, so that backs up what I was just saying. So that would tend to support bringing warmer air up from the south. So again, not sure why the temperature anomalies are so low, really, on this particular update. And then the rainfall anomaly comes out a bit drier than average in the east, but it is hinting at turning wetter in the west. So again, this sort of backs up the idea that it could be a transitional month, September. A lot of settled weather and warm weather to start off with, and then the Atlantic gradually erodes that ridge, breaks it down, and turns it more unsettled. And then finally for October, and this is a bit of a different one, remember, we've got the heights sort of going up to the north, so you can't really see them, but the high pressure is up here somewhere, and the low pressure is sort of coming up from the southwest, something like that. The wind arrows are probably easy. If you have a look at the wind arrows, we can see where the mean wind direction is, and I don't suppose you can really make this out all that well, but the arrows are coming from an easterly direction, so quite a different month for October on what you would normally expect in October, which is normally a very westerly, Atlantic dominated month. The temperature anomaly is coming out a little bit warmer than average across most parts of the country, so that's probably okay. Easterly winds in October would tend to drag in a lot of cloud, and as I say, the temperature anomaly with that could be holding up quite well. If it was a little further on, say November, then you would expect it to be turning colder with those easterly winds, but in October probably that makes sense. And in terms of the rainfall anomaly, most parts of the country actually a little bit drier than average, but down to the southwest it's a bit wetter than average, and that supports the idea that the low pressure is coming in from the southwest as the high pressure slips up towards the northeast. Remember, the wind flow is that sort of direction. So quite an odd month for October. That is very different to what you tend to suspect will happen in a normal October. August is looking okay, but looking quite a good month, I think, on this particular setup, although the model isn't seeing particularly warm conditions in August. I do think it's been a little bit mean, and we'd probably get a warmer month, and it's suggesting September may be transitional, and then rather odd looking, all goes rather strange really as we go through into October. Right, I said we'd have a look at the Asian Climate Centre for the winter, so this is the latest update from the BCC. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly for December to February 2016, so this covers the winter period. What the model is seeing at this very, very early stage, remember this is really early stages, I shouldn't really be showing you this, it's too far away, but I thought I'd just throw it in for a bit of fun. But it's showing low pressure in the central Atlantic, a lot of ridging out to the east of the country. You may look at that and think that's quite good if you want cold weather. It's not really, because the way everything is aligned is that the jet stream is doing something like that. So actually we're pulling the air up generally from a southerly type direction. It wouldn't take that much of an adjustment to turn the winds into the east on that setup, but as it is on the chart anyway, it's aligned so that we're bringing up quite a lot of mild air from the south. So actually the temperature anomaly for the winter looks like this very mild winter being seen with that setup by the Beijing Climate Centre. Temperature anomalies coming out significantly warmer than average, as is just about the whole of Europe as well. So really going to town on a warm winter for many parts of Europe this winter at this really early stage. You'll remember we did look at this early on last year, started looking at it around July, August time, and last year it was consistently going for quite a cold winter, which didn't come off. So if you want a cold winter, it may be good news actually that at the moment the model is seeing a mild winter, because it very much is expected to change and correct as we go through the next few months. So that's the quick sneak peek at winter. Going back to the more reasonable time frame, which is the next 3 months. It looks like the JMA is going for quite a nice August with high pressure tend to be dominant. You expect fairly dry, pretty warm month with that, although it is showing cooler than average temperature anomalies, but I'm not sure why. September, a little bit transitional, a lot of settled weather probably to start off with, then turning more unsettled later on. October, really strange, with easterly winds and the wettest conditions possibly down to the south. So that's how it's looking. And of course, we'll do the full autumn update, the second one, on Sunday. So if you're interested in all this longer range stuff, come back on Sunday for the full autumn update. Tomorrow it's the 5-day forecast, and we've got problems for Friday in terms of weather. We get some really heavy rain down in the south, so I may do a little blog post on that this evening, but we'll look at that in depth tomorrow for the 5-day forecast. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.